What is your full name?
Michael Gunch,
Where are you from?
Berkeley, Michigan.
How old were you in 2009?
28.
What do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
What year are you starting the Great Recession?
Before 2007.
Before 2007, my financial life was kind of chaotic. I was pretty heavily in debt at that time due to my college loans that I had. I finished college at the end of 2004, and so for the next pretty much 3 years, I was working full time to do nothing but pay down my student loan debt. And so, while I had a job in the field that I was looking for, I really, my financial life was still in shambles because I was pretty heavy in debt, and it weighed on me heavily. And I did everything I could to just get that down as fast as possible because I moved back in with my parents, and I was doing everything I could to get out of their house, and I wasn't going to do that until I was out of student loan debt.
Were you overly worried about the health of the economy? Why or why not?
No, the overall economy, it really didn't weigh on me much at all. Like I said, I was much more worried about getting myself out of financial burden and fixing myself before I, you know, could think about the country as a whole, as selfish as that may sound. But the financial, the financial stability of the country wasn't very top of mind for me.
Had you experienced economic hardships prior to 2007?
Yeah, I mean, circling back to my just the student loans I had and all the debt that I was in was the only real hardship that I had experienced, and that wasn't anything out of the norm. I had worked full time through college, but I still had things to pay off, and it was never something where I was struggling to pay my bills. It was just a matter of how fast I could pay them down. So I never really felt scared or too worried overall about anything in my personal life. So um, financial hardship would be a tough word to say that I ever experienced in that time.
What How did you feel about financial bailout given to the banking industry?
Stop it.
What financial hardships did you experience during this economic situation?
To be honest, I was pretty lucky that when everything came crashing down, I was in a field that wasn't terribly affected um, by anything. The only thing that affected me personally was losing a bunch of money out of my 401k. But that, again, my job wasn't affected. I didn't make less money because of it. I just lost a lot of the money that I had in my 401k when the stock market plummeted. But other than that, I mean, again, I was fortunate enough to be in a field that wasn't affected with the crisis.
How did you feel about financial bailout given to the banking industry and why?
I was completely disgusted with how that all played out. Um, they were just pretty much given a free pass and not reprimanded for anything that they did, even though everyone at the top of every single one of those organizations knew that everything they were doing was wrong from the start all the way to the finish, and they went ahead and did it, and none of them got in any sort of trouble. They were just given a clean slate and able to go to work the next day, and um, that was just when you run a business and you run it that poorly, any common guy off the street who had his own little business wouldn't be able to get a bailout and stay in business. And I thought it should have been the same way with the banks.
How did you feel about financial bailout given to the automotive industry and why?
Um, Overall, I mean, I I still feel that a bailout is, I'm not in favor of them ever. Obviously, living in Detroit, I know so many people that work for the big three and that work in the auto industry, and had they not been given that bailout, it would have been cataclysmic for the area. And Detroit as a whole would never have been able to rebound. So, I mean, when you think of it that way, it's the bailout helped save the area and a good portion of my friends and family, and so for that I'm I'm happy that nothing happened to them overall. But yeah, I mean, a bailout of any kind, without any sort of reprimand for doing bad business isn't anything I'm ever in favor of.
Those were all of the questions.